Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Adobe Live. I am so excited for today's stream. It's going to be a really fun one, a very colorful one, I say. Thank you guys so much for being here. My name is Arabela Espinoza. I am a creative photographer, also one half of Weekend Creative, a commercial art director duo based in San Jose, California. But yeah, today and really all this month, we've been doing, Photoshop challenges, not related to commercial product photography, but it's fun nonetheless. So a little bit more on my personal work and just getting really creative and fun. So thank you guys so much for being here. Please let me know in the chat where you're watching from. It's always really exciting to hear, where everybody is, because I feel like Adobe Live is just such a large community with people from all over the world. So I already see a couple of folks in here. Of course, Cody is our amazing moderator. Hi, Cody. And we've got Sean in here. We've got Oliver Andrews, some familiar names here. We've got Nate. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here. So super, super exciting. If you are interested in knowing a little bit more about my work, you can totally check me out on Instagram at Arabela Espinoza. So here's just a little bit. As you can see, I love color, so definitely something, if you're into that, definitely check me out. But obviously, Weekend Creative is our main thing. If you want to check out a little bit more of our work there, weekend-creative.com is where all of our stuff is at. So yeah, why don't we just get started in what we're going to be doing today? So I'm hopping over here on Photoshop. This is going to be what we're creating today, which I'm really excited because let me show you what the before looks like. Very, very different. And so everything about today's stream is about remixing your self-portraits, your old portraits, or maybe you just want to remix any portrait. It doesn't have to be yourself. But I always like, sometimes going back, looking at old work. This was a shot that was photographed. It was taken by a friend of mine. Her name is Rocia Rivera. She's amazing. Definitely also worth the follow on Instagram. We went on a trip to Joshua Tree, Pioneer Town, and we just took a bunch of photos, and it's just really fun. This was like several years ago, and so I really wanted to just dig up an old self-portrait and, why not remix it and create something new out of it. And so, one of the things that I'm going to be showing you today is specifically the updated hue and saturation layer adjustment, which it's gotten like a way more kind of intuitive feel, and it's way more visual and so much fun. So yeah, so why don't we get started? I already see some folks jumping in here and telling us where they're from. We've got some new people as well. Black Becky Design. Sean is from Germany. Oliver, UK. Nate is Ireland. Thank you for being here, Mwenda. Hello, and good morning to you, Bree, Bass and Pixels. Bass and Pixels, thank you so much. So yeah, why don't we get started with remixing our self-portrait? Because if we go from this to this, I think that's a pretty fun one. So this is just, this is me, and I obviously love color. Can you tell I'm wearing red? Let's just get started on editing this image here. So, when it comes to, kind of making it feel fresh and new, right? What's the best way to do that? Color and changing that up. So, one of my favorite things about this new hue and saturation adjustment is just how like convenient it's become. So if I hit OK, go to layer, new adjustment layer, hue and saturation, or the other way that you can find it is by going over, if you have your adjustment panels in view on the right hand side, you can just quickly find the hue and saturation and it'll create a layer for you there. So super awesome. And if you click on the icon of the hue and saturation layer, you'll notice that the contextual taskbar now ends up showing you all of these like wonderful colors. So whereas before the old hue and saturation, you would have to there would be a drop down menu with like the reds, the yellows, greens and so forth. But now it's just like a very intuitive, you see the colors and you can kind of go directly into each one. But that is not all, which I love. So I actually I don't mind the contextual taskbar, but I actually like going over to the properties panel just because there's something about like still using the old way of doing things that you know, it's just it is like secondhand. So, but one of my favorite things is these like presets now. So you can kind of go in and explore all of these different presets as far as colors, right? There's a few different kinds here, but my favorite new thing about the hue and saturation layer is this thing called the prominent colors. So basically what's happening is Photoshop is taking a look at your image and it's analyzing it and seeing what are the images that are in this, or what are the colors that are in this image, and I'm going to give them all to you in this little these swatches essentially. And then from there, you can literally adjust those colors. So for example, right, the yellow, we can start playing with my outfit, the color of my outfit. That looks so crazy. Oh my gosh. Obviously, I have yellow in my skin tone, so it's going to definitely affect that as well. But that's something that's really cool. Or, right, like the background, the blue. That's kind of this second to last swatch here, and we can play around with that as well. Like, so awesome. I love it. So it just kind of becomes like a way more intuitive visual way of using the hue and saturation. So that's super awesome. I see some new folks in here as well. Oh my gosh. Hi, Robert. Thank you for joining us. And Bree, thank you so much. Bree saying, great photo. Love it. My friend took it. She's awesome. We're both photographers, so we're always going on trips and photographing ourselves. And definitely highly recommend, you know, having a creative like retreat where you do photo shoots of yourself and of each other, and, you know, create a lot of art. But yeah, so that is what's exciting about this new hue and saturation adjustment layer. It's just so cool. And so let's start playing around with this a little bit. So before I do any of that, I actually do want to do a little bit of cleaning up. So I'm going to just double, you know, duplicate that layer, and I'm going to use all of my amazing, you know, new AI tools to sort of clean up some of these things here that I find a little bit distracting. Maybe I just want to use our little remove tool that uses generative AI to clean things up. Amazing. I can just, you know, make a little selection there, and then it'll just do the work for me to remove some of those little imperfections, right? The other thing is you can also use, you know, a little lasso tool moment, and we can just select and use, let me add to my selection here. And we can also use generative fill and keep it blank and then hit generate, and it will also clean things up for us as well. So there's so many ways now, you know, to clean up your images, which is fantastic, because I feel like Photoshop is that for everybody, right? Like everybody has a different process. Everybody kind of comes to their own end result in many different ways. So look at that. Super easy, super clean. It even fixed my shirt. So I'm going to merge that down, and I think that looks great. So a couple other things. Ooh, maybe I also want to, maybe I want to even fix my hair a little bit. Why not? That's what's great about generative fill these days. It's just amazing. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to grab a pretty big, large chunk there, and I'm going to use generative fill to sort of fix that. Let's see if it does a good job. I'm always testing the limits, you know, seeing what it can do. Okay, give it a second there. Wow, you guys, that is so good. I am so impressed. Literally every time, every time. There's a couple things that I've noticed that there's like a few little artifacts, but that's like an easy thing. We can just go over to our little patch tool and, you know, fix kind of a little bit of the texture there, so we're not totally removing it. Okay, that looks awesome. And then fixing that, that looks great. And then one more fix there just so that we make sure this doesn't look off. Okay, perfect. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. I think we can kind of continue on. So yes, Sultan, Sultan had a great question. OMG, I could just keep the blank prompt the whole time. Yes, that is correct. So if you are selecting something for generative fill, you know, to do essentially, especially to clean things up, or, you know, you just want a tidied up, generation, all you have to do is keep it blank and you're set to go. If you want to actually add something to the image, that's where you would give it a prompt and, you decide to add whatever it is that you want to add, like sunglasses or a hat, things like that. So yes, Robert says, snip, snap, a new haircut. That is so true. I love it. Great. So this is awesome. So let's go ahead and start playing with that hue and saturation, right? Because why not? So let's go ahead. And the reason I'm going to start with colors first is because then I'm going to use generative expand as well to make this a little bit bigger. So let's go ahead and add a hue and saturation. And like I mentioned, we've got this new intuitive way of selecting colors. But I'm going to just go over to prominent colors because I do really want, Photoshop to analyze the image and give me those swatches right off the bat. So I'm going to go ahead and select this blue, right? Because I do kind of want a deeper blue, like something kind of like a more purple blue. Like that just looks so striking to me. I love it. And it did it right then and there. It's awesome. And then the other thing too that's new as far as the hue and saturation adjustment layer is that, so we have the prominent colors, right? And essentially what we can do is we actually have the ability to change the swatches. So for example, I can click on that first swatch, or you can do this on your contextual taskbar, whichever one you want. So for example, like this, let's say you're starting from scratch or something, so let's go to default. And then if I click on that first one, that's like the basic red, right? Then I can click this little icon and it basically means I want to sample this exact color. And now it switched it. And now you have that exact color there and you can make the changes right then and there. So that's pretty awesome. But then you can continue on, right? You can add another one and another one and another one. So you have the option to add. It's almost like we're bringing in, if you guys are familiar with Lightroom, in Lightroom Classic, like we've got point color now within the, adjustments that we have available for color. And so it's like a little bit of that, right? Where we can kind of really fine tune and select those colors that we want. And so it's pretty cool, you guys. I'm pretty obsessed. And I think you guys are or will be too, if you haven't played around with this yet. So again, I'm going to go back and kind of get into that deeper, like blue, purple kind of color there for the background. And I'm going to name it background. And then, so now I want to do my outfit, right? So this is actually something that I'm going to be talking about in a future live stream next Tuesday, 8:30 a.m. PST. But I kind of wanted to do it for this one too, just because it's kind of fun. So one of the new things as well is this object selection tool. And now it's able to, detect people, right? I know we have this in Lightroom, but we're bringing it into Photoshop as well. So it's awesome. And so now what I can do is I can click on myself and then it brings up all these options for hair, eyebrows, nose, mouth, ears. It is so, so cool, right? Like, look at that, upper close and lower close, right? So if I'm interested in changing the color of, the yellow in my image, but I obviously have yellow in my skin tone, I don't want to mess with my skin, right? So I'm going to use this option to select upper close, select lower close, and now I've got both of them together and I hit apply, and then it's going to create a selection of that of the clothes. So it's super, super cool. And when you use that in conjunction with the hue and saturation, then now you're kind of you're fine tuning, you're kind of being very selective, pun intended, of what color you're transforming. So super, super cool. It's awesome. So yeah. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to go ahead and add a hue and saturation layer here up top, and I'm going to call this one close. And so again, I can go into my prominent colors, and so the reason I'm also doing this separately, right? Like I could have done the yellow in this background hue and saturation layer, but again, I don't want to affect all of the colors, right? I don't want to affect my skin tone. And so that's why I did it on a separate layer. Sometimes it keeps it, what if you want to change later? And so it's nice to have things in separate and on separate layers. So again, I'm going to go to that first one and I'm going to select the little eyedropper tool and I'm going to hit yellow. And now I can go ahead and transform that, right? But now my skin tone is not being affected. So it looks pretty awesome. So, ooh, that's so cool. Okay, I think I'm kind of into this like purple color, but I think I want it to be a little less saturated so that it kind of fits a little bit better and maybe darken it a little bit. But obviously there's still some things going on here, right? Because my hair, so all I have to do is just go back into my layer mask. I can use my brush tool and I can paint in the areas that I want to make sure are actually in here. So while making sure that my foreground color is white. There we go. Perfect. So I can just go in here. I can just start painting in these areas here. And that looks cool. Now, of course, we're going to see a little bit of that purple in there in the hair, but just kind of being careful of where I brush in here. So that looks awesome. Okay. And super easy. I mean, I feel like the selection did honestly like a pretty good job. I'm pretty impressed with it. So I'm really not mad. Like this is very like light work, you know, as far as any additional adjustments that we had to make. So that looks good. And again, I'm just on my layer mask and with a paintbrush, a soft paintbrush, kind of painting in those yellow areas that that selection forgot to do. Okay, amazing. I think that looks really good. Okay, let me kind of back up a little bit. That is so, so good. I'm honestly impressed, you guys. That's crazy. Wow. Okay, amazing. So I'm gonna back up a little bit and let's just kind of turn off these layers to see what we did. Like we went from that to this, like in seconds. It's amazing. Oh, Black Becky Design says the purple hair is actually kind of cool. Do you guys like maybe I need to like tone my hair a little bit of purple then maybe, right? So let's do that actually. I wasn't planning on it, but I feel like now I should. So I'm going to go back into my object selection tool. I'm going to have it select people. I'm going to select myself and then click on hair and then apply. And now I've got that mask and now I can go back into my my layer mask for the clothes, but obviously now it's going to be hair too. And then we can give a little bit of a purple vibe to my hair because why not, right? Okay, so there we go. It kind of gave it like a cool effect actually. Like look at that. That's amazing. Okay, good on you, Black Becky Design. You know what you're doing. You probably were, maybe you're a hairstylist in a past life. Nate says that's cool. Purva, cool. Black Becky Design, yes, as long as you can undo. That's true. I mean, all I have to do is just turn off this layer or complete, mask it out again, and we're good to go. But that's really good. But let me go ahead and go in just a tiny bit because I can see that it like got to the tip of my nose. So that's where, having layer mask is so important, right? Because then we can remove it. So I'm going to go in and remove a little bit here, just so it's not affecting my skin. And now, oh my gosh, you guys, as I go in on my skin a little bit, I'm kind of feeling like I'm giving Oompa Loompa vibes. Like I'm not normally that orange. So let's go ahead and fix that, right? So we can kind of do the same thing, or we can just do a little object selection tool. Maybe while on my clean layer, I'm gonna just kind of go lightly select over my skin here, and it should select my face. So there you go. And then same thing, we can just go into hue saturation. And this time I can just go into my either red or yellow and just bring down the saturation there. And that just alone made such a big difference, you guys. Look at that. That's a lot closer to my actual skin tone, I think. So amazing. That's perfect. I can just put skin there. And, if I wanted to make any further adjustments, I can do that. So Sean says, undo or shave your head. Oh no. Can you imagine? What if we did like a gen fill, like the entire hair and just was like bald? There you go. That's so good. I love it. Oh, and thank you, Cody, for putting in the link. So if you want to follow along or if you want to try this later on your own time, we do have the starter files just above, either the chat, whether you're on Behance or on YouTube in the link in the description. So definitely great to follow along, and so you can practice and try these techniques. So again, so many things, so fun. I love this. So let's go ahead and because we just have what, 6 minutes left. How is the time going by so fast, you guys? So I'm gonna go ahead and select everything in my image. I just did a little Command A, and I'm gonna do a copy merge. So edit, copy merge, otherwise Command Shift C, and I'm gonna paste it all up top. And I'm gonna call this, I'm just gonna do 2.0. There we go. And now I wanna use Generative Expand. So let's do a little moment for the Generative Expand. So I'm just kind of taking these, these corners here because I want to extend the background. And at the top here, I want to make sure that I switch from transparent default to Generative Expand. And now when I hit generate with no prompt, what it's going to do is it's going to generate more background for me. So I'm going to let it do its thing. Sean says, I do the opposite. Gen fill equals hair. Yes, you guys. So that's the other thing too. You could always, add more hair, technically. Maybe I haven't tried it myself, but I bet that's an option for sure. Wow, look at how it did. That's amazing. Like it just knew. And I like how it even gave it a little bit of a vignetting effect. Like that's honestly pretty awesome. So let me go back just so I can see what we were working with. So we had a little bit of text. If you were, if you watched last stream, I know we kind of talked a little bit about dynamic text. And so I kind of wanted to include it in this remix of the self-portrait as well to kind of build on what we have learned. So only look back to see how far you've come. So let's go ahead and add a little bit of that. So the easiest way, right, is just to go over to our text, and obviously anytime that you're going to add text, you're going to see the little dynamic text icon grayed out. But until you add some actual text, that's when you can actually turn it on. So then all you have to do is click on it. And then now you've got dynamic text and it will just adjust. Super easy, super awesome. So I already have the font that I really like already set up here. So it's called The Seasons and it is in the mode light, which is awesome. So what did we say? We said only look back to see how far you've come. Beautiful. Okay. And now I want to change the color of that. I think I'm going for like a bit of purple here, like a lilac, maybe a little bit. There we go. Yeah, that's super cute. Okay, I love it. And now all I have to do is just adjust these points here. Amazing. Oh my gosh, so good, you guys. Beautiful. And then I can just make it so that it's in the middle. There we go. Perfect. Okay, and now the way that we can bring me to the forefront, right? All we have to do is just go back to our 2.0 layer. I'm going to just do an object selection. I could also do select subject, a quick select subject on the contextual taskbar, and it'll do it right then and there, right? Or, I mean, again, so many options, so many ways. Oh, I did not mean to do that, you guys. I meant to do this. And then it knows right away that that's what you want selected. So it's so many ways. It's so smart. I absolutely love it. So, okay, so amazing. So I've got our myself selected here, and all I have to do is just hit Command J to place it on its own layer. I'm gonna call that one me. And then all I have to do is turn back on that text layer, bring myself all the way to the front. And now we've got a really cool poster that reminds you, that you should only look back to see how far you've come. So you guys, this was so easy. And did I do that in like 20, 25 minutes? That's incredible. So, there's so many fun ways to play with all of these new updated features like dynamic text, like the hue and saturation layer. I actually wonder what would happen if I start kind of messing around with these layers here. I'm going to call this one 3.0. And add another hue and saturation. I'm going to do prominent colors here. And then it knows exactly like all these things. So if I wanted to further adjust, like, look, I just made a whole new different design by just playing around with the hue and saturation layer. It's so cool. I love it. Bree Base and Pixel says, amazing, great job. You guys, you have the starter files. Play around with this. Let me know how you find them. If you share anything on social, please tag me at Arabela Espinoza or at Weekend Creative. But that is where we're at. So thank you guys so much for watching this stream, and I hope to see you next Tuesday, 8:30 a.m. PST as well, where we'll be going over some more updated features. So thank you so much, and until next time, bye.